What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We're the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, and with me, as always, is Chris the Stats Man Gorman.
Hey.
Hit him with the stats, Chris.
Anthony Davis and Rui Hachimura are the first Lakers duo with 35 points each in the same game since Kobe and Shaq in 2003.
Nice.
This happened about 2 weeks ago, but still fun stat.
It is a fun stat. Interesting. And he's already got the corn in rows, but they're just in little trays. It's the lawn boss, Joey McCroskey. Get that, Joe.
Hey, fun fact: you can't start your corn inside. Okay. Direct sown after your first frost.
I just learned. So the last frost. So I guess it's going in soon. And joining us after he uploads his or hacks back into his own computer, it's the professional Adam Bruns. How the levels tonight, Adam?
They're sounding good. As good as ever.
Good enough, guys.
I'll fix it in post anyway.
Fix it in post. I love it. Well, we got a fun show tonight. We are going to break down the MVP and MIP races, or just kind of see our thoughts on those two awards. And then Chris has got a detailed list of all the players we need to be watching in the second half of the season post All-Star break. And he's going to give us a run through there, and then we're going to debate some of the top three guys. We're going to whittle it down.
We'll whittle it down to three.
We'll whittle it down to three. From an entire league of players, it should be fun. We're excited. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it then. MVP, you want to start there?
Do we have odds? Anybody
well, I have the top five on MVP tracker.
Okay.
It's number 1 is Jokic, number 2 is Shea, number 3 is Luka, 4 is Giannis, and 5 is Tatum. Chris, just kind of some general thoughts on those. Do you think that's the right order? Or is that the right 5? Is there somebody else that should be in the mix?
Yeah,
think,
that's the right 5.
That's the 5, right?
It's kind of boring, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird. Jokic should be the number 1. That's the right 5.
Yeah, especially when you look at the stats, he's definitely number 1.
Do we want to talk about Giannis and the fact that the Bucks held, I think it was the 26 points and a half? Their defense is coming on strong, so maybe he has a last second half push.
He has a push here. Get above Shea.
Get above, yeah, but
maybe.
No, I can't. I don't have much stipulations with that list. I'm boring.
That's good. Joey, what do you think of that list?
I can't find what's fault with that. I don't. What do you guys think?
Oh, come on, Joey. I'm just kidding.
DeMar DeRozan should be on the list, guys. Okay.
There it is.
I thought you were going to make a case for Io, maybe, but
Io or Kobe.
Bitch, okay, he's got 11 double doubles. Okay, he's got the big sausage. No, I'm curious about where you guys think Tatum should be.
Yeah, that was actually the guy I was going to bring up.
He seems to kind of be the polarizing person. I think, Jokic, Shea, Luka, and Giannis seem to be the kind of 4 consensus that are all kind of floating around, but Tatum seems to be, depends like.
Time out.
Yes, Adam.
Joey, you got to fix something. I don't know what's up with your mic, but it sounds like you're in a pillow.
Oh, well, it's okay. He's using 2 computers.
We've got it doubled up, man. The Audacity will be good.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I just want to make sure because right now I can't fix that. So
no, it's not you. It's the Audacity will be just fine.
Okay, just making sure. Cool. All right, I'll cut this out. Cool, thanks.
It doesn't matter. No, it's like it depends who you read.
Yeah.
Like who you look at that decides. Some people have Tatum like 3, and then other people don't have him on the list at all. Or I don't know. I feel like a consensus like 5 seems to be like a reasonable spot for him to be.
Yeah. That's where he's falling. I kind of get it in the sense of, I looked at his numbers, so I compared all 5 of these players. And he leads in none of the categories, when you pull them all up and kind of do a side-by-side compared to all of them. So I kind of get that. But to me, this is one where I feel like maybe we're getting a little bit too into the metrics with it. And maybe we should just go best player on best team, especially in a year when maybe nobody's doing anything particularly special. I mean, Jokic is still Jokic is playing out of his mind. Numbers are great. Same thing with Shea. but really, Luka's kind of still in that play-in area as far as where his team success is. Giannis, Milwaukee hasn't been as great all season as they, maybe should have been or could have been. Obviously, Shea's right in the mix. They've been, 1-2 all, most of the year, but younger guy maybe, and that's the reason here. But I would like to see Tatum a little bit higher. And actually, I think he would get my vote if I had a vote. I would go Tatum just because I like that best.
Is this more of you were just at the game.
I was just at the game, so this is not a homer pick. I just think there's so much right now. They're so much better than any other team in the league.
Yeah, but are they better just because of him?
No, and I think that's kind of the argument. But so the other thing I thought of was that, all right, you have all 5 of these guys, right? You take each one of these guys off their teams, that team is no longer that team, right? You take Tatum off of Boston, they probably don't have as far a fall as maybe Denver does or somebody like that, or Dallas, but they're not going to be the number 1 seed in the East. They're not going to be the number 2 seed in the number 3 seed in the East. They're going to be a play-in type team or that range without that guy. And when you're that, I don't know, just when there's one team that's so clearly head and shoulders kind of above the rest of the league. I mean, I'm not talking about just for the MB or the championship, because I think that's going to be different in the playoffs and everything like that. And Boston will be different in the playoffs too. But I think, regular season award, you kind of have this one team that's kind of been, kind of had a chokehold on the number 1 record all season. To me, it's kind of easy to give it to Tatum here. But what do you guys think?
I feel like you made your case against Tatum.
What? Because he's...
Well, you said if you take him off the team, they don't have as far of a fall as the Nuggets or the Mavericks.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
I think like MVP, right? Like if you take that team off, you take that person off the team, that team becomes.
Yeah, but like that's where you go. All right, but where do you draw that line? Like, could you go Steph right now is like the most valuable player in the league, because without him, the Warriors would be absolute garbage. You know what I mean? Like that's where I go. All right, when there's not a guy like Luka is not so clearly carrying his team, or Shea is not so clearly carrying his team in a way that is, to me makes it, all right, we got to award this guy. Then I start to go, all right, let's just look at best player, best team, and see, like kind of like when Devin Booker, did he win one or not? Or was he in the mix for one?
He was in the mix. I don't think he won. Right? Yeah.
I can't remember that year that they were. I don't think he won, but like that was my argument that year for Devin Booker, because again, Phoenix was so much better than everybody else. But then, they were a really good team. But it's like, hey, look, man, there's really nobody else here.
I feel like your point on Shea is really good. I feel like Shea is maybe getting like the benefit of like the longevity play of like, hey, he stuck it out on a really bad team for a long time, and now the team's finally good, and like we're recognizing that because he stayed there long enough. But I think you're right. It's like they built a really good team around him, and that team is just good in general. Like he's above everybody else on that team, but he's by no means like
like if you took Shea off that team,
the landscape of that's a good point. That's a good point.
And just because nobody's really kind of differentiating themselves, that's all. It's kind of, there's no like Westbrook triple-double thing going on, or just nothing really crazy. So
it's just that Jokic is doing this for the 4th year in a row.
It's just doing it for the 4th year.
It's just if this was the first thing he was doing, it'd be like, holy shit, look at this.
Or or if he was doing it like the year he did it without Jamal and stuff like that. That's where it's like, all right, now he becomes, like Jamal's hurt for the entire season, and they're still have him in the 6th seed. That's kind of where I go, all right, now that makes this sort of argument where they're a championship level team is missing their second best player, and their best player is still got him right in the mix and still going to, make a playoff run. All right, then I go, that's more valuable than just the best player on the best team. But when you don't really have a big storyline like that, I kind of go, all right, let's maybe think about it.
I think I don't want to agree with you as much. I think if this was like any other team, I would be like, totally. I can't believe the Knicks are, even if it's the Knicks, like the Knicks are, because just looking at the point differential of like 10.5, it's absurd, right? When you get double digits point differential on average.
Yeah.
So it's an all-time great team. I don't want to reward them, but I see your point.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that we've normalized Jokic so much because he's done it so consistently for now like 3-4 years that like it's like not as impressive as it once was. I mean, it's still impressive, but like the newness of it has worn off, and like other players are now, I guess, like having similar stat lines, maybe not as consistently, but like the triple doubles for a big man is not like a Jokic thing anymore, right?
It's not just him,
not just him. Although he's the only guy to have a perfect one, which is wild. But
yeah, I think the thing with him is like it's the advanced stats. He's just so dominant in like in VORP and in what was the other one? I think
VORP.
Yeah, VORP and
that's the thing, you're like making up stats. The LeBron or Carmelo 528 stat.
Yeah. No, there's a value over replacement player.
Yeah.
And then box plus minus.
Box plus minus. There you go.
Yeah, like he's so far ahead of everybody else in those categories. I think a lot of people just go like, oh, look, he's obviously the most valuable player, which I think is true, but it's like, I don't know, man.
I think he's gonna win it.
Though. Yeah, I think so too.
I think he's gonna run away with it.
He's not gonna care about it, and it's we should have gave it to you last year, but we didn't.
Yeah, right.
And hey, no Embiid though. If Embiid was here, I think that he would be still in the mix. So that's interesting too.
Whatever. I'm so happy about that.
The Phillies are like a game into the play-in, dude. It's pretty.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Karma's a bitch. You hire the wrong people.
The wrong people. You know what I mean?
Do you guys think if they didn't have the 65 game rule that Embiid would still be like hanging around in the MVP conversation?
No.
No.
You think he just would have naturally?
No, because I think there was like an arbitrary rule.
An understanding
prior to that, unless you were so absurd. I forget there was like one guy that had won it. I think it wasn't Embiid. No, it wasn't even Embiid. It was like Bill Walton, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole nother debate. But all right, we can get into the MIP. I tried to find who were the favorites in this. To me, it actually kind of feels like a two-man race. I think from what I've seen is that the favorite is Tyrese Maxey, and he's most likely going to win. But I think our boy Kobe White, he's in the second position as far as the Vegas betting odds, from what I saw. And I think it's kind of between him and Tyrese. And I think maybe the debate is, do we go sort of the trend that this award has been going, where a pretty solid player becomes like an all-star level player, or do we go back to more of what the award kind of was and give it to Kobe? Because I kind of think some of the numbers he's putting up, it's hard to say he's not the most improved player. But what do you think, Joey?
Yeah, those are the two that I saw. The other guy that I saw kind of the mix was Alperen Sengun, Chris's favorite out of left field player. But I was looking because I think the Noducks guys talked about it, or Trey Kirby, like they were talking about it, and he made a comment about Kobe being like 10 points higher per game this season than last year, and which he is, right? He's 9.7. But the thing I looked at, just like diving in a little bit more, was the minutes played. So Maxey's up 5.3 points per game, but he's only up 3.7 minutes. Kobe White's up 9.7, but he's up 13 minutes a game. So like if you stretched all that out, Maxey would be at a even higher pace, in addition, if the minutes kind of equaled out. Looking at like win shares and PER and stuff, like they're all pretty equal across the board. Rebounds are almost equal. Kobe's got like one more, but assists, everything is like relatively equal. The only difference is the points and the minutes. So I think you're right. I think Maxey's going to get it just based on purely the fact that the history has shown us that most improved is usually a guy that goes from, fringe player to all-star. And also I think, being on the benefit of a good team helps. Now I do think, right, it's a regular season award. So as Chris mentioned, the Sixers are on quite the slide here.
Yeah.
And if he can't kind of fight them out of that slump and the slide that they're on, and by some grace of God and stroke of luck, the Bulls somehow managed to go on the opposite thing and have a run, which doesn't look likely, but that could be the deciding factor. Like if the Bulls somehow find their way up to like a 7 seed and flirting with 6, and it's based purely on the play of Kobe White. DeMar falls off a cliff and it's just all Kobe White. Maybe that's the case, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. So I think Maxey has it locked up. I think just the narrative too around him, like he's well talked about. He was kind of coming into the season as like waiting for his coming out party, and he's had that. So I think he's got it locked up though.
Chris, what do you think, man?
Okay. The only other player I wanted to shout out was Jalen Johnson. Have you guys heard about him at all? He averaged 5.6 points. He's averaging 15, nearly 16 points a game now for Atlanta. He's kind of carrying that team now that Trey went down, and they're the 10th seed right now, but it'll be interesting how they play out. And he's kind of been a revelation. That Atlanta team has been looking for a wing to go with Trey since they drafted him. Right, they took Hunter and Cam Reddish, and Jalen Johnson they drafted a couple years ago, and he finally just came out of the scene this year. And I thought he would be a little higher in the odds just because of the improvement. Yeah. Like, if you want to go literally off an improvement, he's the most improved. Him and Kobe White, I think, are the most improved. Maxey's the best, most improved.
Yeah.
And then Sengun, right? But I think it should be Kobe or Jalen Johnson. But because their teams aren't as good, I guess we got to give it to someone like Maxey. But hey, if the Sixers keep falling, I can maybe see Jalen Johnson get into the discussion more. So
yeah, that's true. I forgot about him in Atlanta.
I got a hypothetical question for you guys. Just based on like these awards and how we talk about them, like how do you think these can be fixed? Because I think Chris, you made a great point and it made me think of it. Like Tyrese Maxey is the best, most improved, but Kobe White, Jan Johnson are the most improved. Like, how do you actually find a way to get the most improved player and the most valuable player?
I think it's I just think it's a year-to-year thing, and you just have a conversation about, hey, what's going on in the league? What are we valuing kind of this year? What makes the most sense? That's kind of what I don't think there's any one way to fix it, because if you do it one way, then the next year you'd be looking at a Tyrese Maxey, say you went the other way with the MIP, and then everybody's looking like, well, why isn't Maxey in the in the running for this? Like, look at this guy. He's basically a number 1A or 1B on a title contender in theory if Embiid is back. How come he couldn't win that award? Why does it got to go to Kobe White? So I just think you have to maybe just see the landscape, and it should be on the writers to understand the league enough to know what's happening and kind of read the pulse of the fans and the pulse of the league, and just go, all right, here's who I think should be the winner of this award.
I think it's probably by publicity who gets the most media coverage. That's why Maxey's number 1, right? And Kobe White's kind of not.
I mean, he's a close second, I think, is what he is. But
is he? Okay.
He's in conversations.
Do you guys think it would like ruin these awards if they set like a level you had to reach in terms of like production to like qualify or not even qualify, but just like, hey, we as a league going into 2023, 24, points are most valuable. And after that, it's rebounds and then assists, and then it's VORP, and then it's win shares, and then it's this, and this. And like you actually like rank players based on like their value to their team.
Yeah, but because that's the thing. It's just like, all right, well, how do you gauge exactly what the value is? Because let's say they did something like, all right, you have to have at least a 10-point per game jump in scoring to be considered for MIP. Mm-hmm. And all right, well, maybe Maxey has a 5-point, jump, and the same thing. It's just like, all right, well, he's just not counted in there, but he can't be part of it because it's, it wasn't a high enough jump. Where then maybe you have somebody who has like an 11-point jump, they're really not, really not somebody that's considered for the award, but they just, just all of a sudden got a lot of minutes or whatever, and suddenly kind of blossomed. Then you're like, okay, yeah, well, that doesn't really.
I'm gonna take this as a homework option here for myself and see, because I guess I didn't mean it more of like a qualifier. I said that, but I didn't mean it that way. I meant more of like everybody would be qualified, but like you would value certain categories as different importance to the game, and like, so hey, Kobe White has more points than Maxey, jump, but Maxi's player efficiency is much higher than Kobe White. So like, do those balance out in some way? And like, you kind of figure it out. Cause like, I don't know, like, I think in every sport with MVPs and, baseball with Hall of Fame and all that stuff, like you get these guys who are just have like agendas and writers that have agendas, and it's potentially like a big market and the story gets set and locked in motion. And then like conspiracy theory at its finest. But I was just curious. What you guys thought. I'll look at it deeper for us. We'll see if there's any difference if you did it by numbers.
I just well, in the sake of keeping this segment somewhat short, we'll cut it off there. We can talk off mic, but
sorry. I was just curious. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. No, because I got thoughts. No, we can move into players to watch here. Chris came up with a nice list for us. So, Chris, give us a rundown. Give us your players to watch going into the second half.
Yeah, I mean, the way this list came together, I just want to talk through that real quick. Is that let's look at identify 3 players who should be the most important throughout the year. The thing is, I think it's worth talking through where my thought process was at, and then talking it through you guys, because you guys kind of bring me down to earth to show who cares. Why are we talking about this? Why are you spend any time talking about this? So for the sake of that, I'm going to go through 30 players, give about 10, 15 seconds each. We'll spend maybe a minute on a player that you are actually think could be most important. How should I do this list here? I'll just do it in like an order that makes sense. So my first most important player to go through is Giannis. The question that I have that I want to watch out the rest of the season with him and in the Bucks is this team a serious threat? I mentioned the defensive stronghold they had in the game earlier this year. They've been a better defensive team with Doc, the record's not shown. Giannis, important player. Okay, I'll just keep keep
running through, because I might take some notes, might come back to some stuff. Let's see.
OG Anunoby.
Okay.
This guy can get healthy again. The Knicks, I think, can really be a title contender. That trade was awesome for them. So I like me some OG. I want him to keep playing.
I like that one.
I put Joel Embiid, but I think it's really about Tyrese Maxey. Will he be able to carry the team and be lock up that MIP award, I guess, if he can really carry that team, right? So Tyrese Maxey is the name there. Jimmy Butler, he's one I really like. Where if he just plays, the Heat could be a top 4 seed. I really think if the Heat are like a 6 or a 5 seed, even an 8 again, no one's going to take them seriously. If they're in the top 4, everyone's going to be afraid. No one wants to play Miami then, or either way. So. Then next I have is Tyrese Halliburton. Can he get out of the play-in? The guy's been kind of slumping lately. He's the 7th seed right now. Next, Paolo Banchero, same question, 8th seed.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went in order with saying I skipped the first 2, but the ninth team, the Chicago Bulls. You pick. Yeah, I said Io. I said Io.
Okay, Io or Kobe.
That's the meme. That are the stat that Joey had sent earlier this week. And maybe it's Kobe. I don't know. 10, Jalen Johnson. That's it was funny when we were talking about MIP. Johnson. It made me think about JJ. 11, Michael Bridges. I don't have a reason. I just need to name a player on the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe Ben Simmons. Do we want to watch Ben Simmons? Is that important? I don't
want to watch the Nets. Nobody cares about the Nets.
I don't care to watch Ben Simmons. He does not care to play basketball. I'm done.
No.
Done.
Scotty Barnes.
Okay, I like that.
There's a thing going around. There's a. Have you guys heard this theory or this rumor that you might be like autistic, where like he doesn't like speak? It's okay. Let's just move on. Next is Brandon Miller. He's been really good for the Charlotte Hornets, and maybe they should just build around him instead of LaMelo. So
yeah.
Maybe that's a team. Next team, Jordan Poole. He got benched. Cade Cunningham. Is he still worth building around? Joey, I know you caught some Cade Cunningham last night. So, and then Jason Tatum, best player, best team. Is he the MVP? And then the last but not least, and certainly not least, Evan Mobley. Can he integrate and take the Cleveland Cavaliers to championship level? Because he can really play with Donovan Mitchell and Garland and all the talent they have there. They could really become a serious threat.
Kevin.
So this is your Eastern Conference players to watch. Is that what we're
correct?
Or important.
Do you want to talk? Do you have?
Yeah, I got some notes.
Right, what do we got? Top 3.
Joey, you got some thoughts or what?
Yeah, I got some thoughts. You go first.
All right. So first couple thoughts I had. I'm going to start with three players. I think maybe we should go a different way on. So like Bucks, you had Giannis. I think I would go Dame. I think as far as he's, maybe my reading of this topic is important to watch going forward, because I think Giannis is going to be fine. It's can Dame take the Bucks to that next level and become that really, that dual threat that they were supposed to be at the beginning of the season. Similar with the Heat, I actually would be paying attention to Jaquez. Jimmy is going to be Jimmy in the playoffs. We know this. If Jaquez can be a legit threat and a legit scorer, that makes that team a little bit more scary come playoff time, which they are already very scary come playoff time. And then the last guy I had a sub for was with the Celtics is Porzingis. In my mind, if he's healthy and available for those guys, I think they're going to be extremely tough to beat. If he is not playing right, I think they're the same kind of maybe the same old Celtics a little bit, and can be got in a playoff series. But Porzingis takes them over that edge, in my opinion.
Okay,
so those are my notes. I love OG for the Knicks.
I like the Lillard one a lot.
Yeah.
Porzingis, I don't know how to feel about Porzingis anymore. I agree with Jaquez too, I think. But I think Jimmy's the better.
Yeah, Jimmy's the better
player, but Jaquez is more of that like Jaquez and Porzingis are more of those X factor guys. And if they're playing at a high level, then the team can really maybe actually be a serious threat. Joey, would you have any thoughts?
I had 2 of the same teams that stuck out to me. The first one was the Bucks. I actually was thinking Chris Middleton is a player to watch. I think we've seen enough of a sample now of Dame and Giannis with Doc Rivers that like things are starting to work a little bit better. And I think, when push comes to shove, we're going to see the best from those guys. But as we know in the playoffs, things change up, and, having that actual reliable scoring release valve that's, there and consistent would be Chris Middleton. So him getting healthy and getting into form leading up to that point would be my guy to watch. And then on the Heat, I think Bam is a guy to watch for me, because I feel like we've seen a lot of peaks and valleys from Bam over the seasons, and the load is always on Jimmy and everybody. Like last year when it finally came crumbling down for them, it was Jimmy was just exhausted and he kind of gave it everything, and it was when the what do we call them, the first name last name guys, when the Struces and the Gabes and the whatever, when they stopped scoring like they had in the earlier rounds, it became ugly real fast. So if Bam can kind of become a consistent threat for them, which he is a threat, but it's just some games it looks like he's not even existent to the team. So him getting involved on a regular basis and being there for me is the Heat's got to watch. But everything else I think is
I think he was good on everything.
So it sounds like it's Heat, Bucks, Celtics.
Yeah,
I think
those are
the most interesting teams, right? Like those are the ones that's like, what are these guys going to do? Like, are they going to be good, or are they going to just fizzle out? Is it going to happen or not?
I will throw the Knicks in there as far as a team. If they're healthy, I am very curious as to what they're going to be able to do. But
I feel like we're sleeping on the Knicks, not like we as a society, but like we as a three of us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's me,
they've just been hurt. Him and Randall, OG and Randall have been hurt. But no Mobley. Still no Mobley love. All right, it's fine.
Who?
Until you call him Kevin, I will not support him. So the first time you call him by his correct name, we'll talk about him.
No Mobley love.
No Mobley love. It's fine. We'll move on. All right, West. Conference. Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
I just still like Kenny Carrier's can he finish games? The Timberwolves have been like the worst clutch team, or not the worst, but like in the 20s or something.
Yeah.
And can he be a serious threat in the playoffs? Shea, I mean, maybe with the Thunder you could be cute and say like Chet or Jalen or Isaiah Todd. I don't know, but I like Shea. Nikola Jokic to me is still an important guy to watch, because can they steal the 1 seed? And is he truly the MVP? The answer is yes and maybe. or is maybe in, yes, in that order. For Kawhi Leonard,
okay.
He's coming up to the most games he's ever played in a single season with the Clippers. He's at 52 or 53 right now. His total was 56. This is his fourth year. So what's gonna happen with Kawhi, man? You know,
fresh clips.
Crack clips.
You see their new logo? We should have talked about the new logo.
Oh no, I haven't seen it yet. Actually,
the boat.
I heard about it. Yeah, the boat.
I like
it. I like it a lot.
Thumbs up. I'm in.
I should have. Yeah, well. Number 5, Bradley Beal. Can this guy just play?
Yeah.
Like, how is Kevin Durant going through this again? From Brooklyn to Phoenix.
Because he's stupid.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Number 6. Number 6 is one that I seriously am considering. Actually, all these I'm seriously considering because that's why I made this list.
Yeah.
But Zion Williamson.
Okay.
I kind of forgot about Zion.
I forgot about the Pelicans.
Remember about Zion guy? Like, remember the Pelicans?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
The top 5 team right now.
Did they play the Timberwolves or the Bulls recently?
Yeah, lost to the Bulls.
They lost to the Bulls. Yeah, and I remember their starting lineup was really interesting because there was not a point guard to be had, I think, in the whole game for them. They had Ingram,
Zion,
Herbert Jones, Zion.
Yeah. Zion played point guard for that game. They were down CJ McCollum with the injury, and then they lost some guys to the Heat Pelicans little scuffle fight that happened.
Okay, yeah, so it was point Zion that game. Didn't work out.
It did not.
Number 7, another guy that's being talked about, De'Aaron Fox. He's awesome. The Kings are fun, but nobody cares because they have no defense and no one's taking him as a serious threat in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Number 8, I think, should be. I gotta stop saying that. All right, Luka Doncic. This is a guy you're not going to want to play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And if they keep winning and playing at the level they're at, they can keep climbing the seedings. LeBron, I'm still going to watch. Everyone, the too old. What year is this for too old? 7? Year 7 on being too old? I don't. He's still playing at a crazy high level. 8 or 9. I don't know what number I'm at. 10. I think my 10.
Age is a number to him.
Age is just a number. Stephen Curry. The Heat Warriors have been looking all right. I mean, maybe you could say Brandon Podziemski if you want. I don't know. Clay, but I like Curry. And then here's 5. Lauri Markkanen, Alperen Sengun, Jaren Jackson Jr., Scoot Henderson, and of course, Victor Wembanyama is actually someone putting up these 5-5 games. He was 1 assist away from a 5-5 game, and then he did it the next game. It was it's absurd with this guy with these stat lines of this guy's put up. Too bad he doesn't really actually have NBA players around him to be a serious threat, but he's the real deal,
good.
Man.
He's going to be real good. Oh man, I like your. So who was you have here? So I don't have like a definitive 3. I don't think.
Okay,
Joey, did any 3 specifically stand out to you? I mean, I have a couple guys I want to talk about, but if you don't have a specific 3, maybe Chris can give us his top 3 that he finally.
Yeah, Chris, give us a 3. I don't know if I have.
My 3 here are Anthony Edwards because I said with the Jokic because I feel like I haven't watched enough, and then Luka. For me because Luka, I think he's gonna just turn it up. He should be in the MVP. Was he in the top?
Yeah,
5?
he's number 3.
He's number 3. Where was Giannis? I thought Giannis was.
Giannis is 4.
He's 4. Okay. So I Jokic, Luka, and Edwards.
Yeah, I had Edwards for sure. As like closing. I have Shea because I'm kind of curious how they're going to look. Just OKC in general in the when it comes to playoff time. Is he going to maybe stop getting the calls? And his game does kind of rely a little bit on free throw shooting. So that's always interesting.
Scoring, very efficient scoring, and not rebounding, which is no.
Yeah, that's going to change a little bit in the playoffs. I think he might get exposed a little bit, but we'll see. And I couldn't come up with a third one. Joey, do you have anybody different or?
Can I cheat a little bit on the Mavs?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to cheat. I feel like it's not Luka, and I feel like it's the collective everybody else.
With Gafford, Washington, and
it's like
I feel like
Jones.
Yeah, like I think for like 2-3 years, maybe it's just me, but like I've felt like they needed to like do something drastic to find something to make Luka whole. And like they did Kyrie, they traded for Kyrie last year. It kind of worked, but like he didn't play enough. And now, started this season, he wasn't in the lineup a lot due to injury. And now they've got all these pieces. And since the trade deadline, they've been significantly better. And Luka has I feel like he's kind of started to look more like MVP Luka.
Yeah,
like it was kind of quiet at the beginning of the season, and since the trade deadline, it's been much more pronounced, and maybe it's just been higher scoring and whatnot. But I feel like we've seen this kind of story before, where he has a really good regular season, and as it kind of runs up to the end of the season, he potentially, it's kind of like a Jimmy Butler kind of thing. Like he is the guy who's carrying everything, and he runs out of steam, and can it translate into the playoffs? So for me, it's, can the Mavs keep up the pace that they're at, and can Luka kind of find a way to not be the one that is the only reason they keep up that pace? And they have players now. They've made moves. They're not the sexiest moves and like the greatest players around, but they've done enough, I think, to make them a threat. Like no one wants to see Luka because he could put up 60 on you in a playoff game and not even bat an eye. But for me, it's not just him now. It's the collective rest of the team. Like, what you're getting out of him. He's proven it. Is everybody else going to come along for the ride?
Yeah. No, I like Luka as the third there. Just in general, or the Dallas, because I think too, where they're at right now in that 7-8 slot, I think that's a real dangerous spot for them. Because let's say they stay there or around there, whatever, they could potentially be going up against Minnesota or OKC in the first round. Ooh. And young teams that maybe don't have a ton of success, and then you have that dude on the other side.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it just gets real, like the buttholes get real tight.
I think if it's under Mavs, I think Mavs take it in I think 5 or 6. To be honest,
I think the Mavs take that series, and that's crazy.
Oh, it'd be so fun.
I hope it happens.
I hope it happens, and I also don't, because I kind of want to see that later on when things are like more serious. Like I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one, man.
I don't know if I want to see one of those teams out in the first round, but it's probably likely to happen.
I mean, depending on who they get, man, they could even get, they can get a Phoenix, they can get a Pelicans, a Golden State, maybe. You know what I mean? Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a bloodbath in the West again.
Let me throw one at you. So, Chris, on the Clips, you said Kawhi, and I think you're probably right, but part of me is thinking, should we be talking about, do we know what Kawhi is, and is James Harden / Paul George
that's the guy,
the guys to watch on the Clippers, and see if they find a way to become. Paul George has been pretty good this year. James Harden has been okay, but I mean, he's not what we expected, but the team's good, so maybe that's okay. But is he kind of the guy to watch to see if he figures it out?
Take your pick, sure. Harden's been on a slide lately. When I thought about who's most important, I also thought about who do I care to watch and kind of track, and that's why I kind of lean towards the better player.
Yeah,
but I see what you're coming from with hey, maybe it's Harden, maybe it's Terrence Mann. Maybe it's Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook gets 8 points a game now.
I don't think it's any of those guys, but
I forgot to be honest with you.
Harden was the other name that kind of came to my head when you were kind of going through the teams, because I think the same thing. I think Kawhi's going to be fine come playoff time as long as he's healthy. I mean, that's the big issue, but
as long as he's healthy,
as long as he's healthy. But if is Harden, because Harden's going to is going to decide whether or not those guys actually make a run at this thing or not.
And there's nothing in his history that says that he will.
Yeah, that's
so. I don't know.
That's what's crazy. All right, do we want to settle on a final 3 players, the most important players to watch?
Yeah.
Last.
So we got here. I like your list, Titus, of Jaquez, Lillard, and Porzingis, and then and Edwards, Jokic, Luka. Is that kind of the West, or was there?
Yeah, I think Edwards
or Shea instead of Luka. What are we thinking?
Edwards, Luka for sure. I feel like I can't find that third.
Oh, I said Jokic. Jokic or Shea.
Jokic or Shea, I think is probably it. Joey, do you have anybody else?
Joey, make the call.
All right, Edwards, Luka, and I'm gonna take Shea.
All right, Shea.
I'm gonna call him Shea.
So then we got to whittle this down to a final 3.
Okay, so Edwards, yeah.
Edwards, Shea, Luka, and who we said Dame, Jaquez, Porzingis.
Yeah.
I think Bam over Jaquez is a better.
I like
Dame.
Bam. I like Bam.
Bam over Jaquez?
Bam, yeah, Bam. Let's go with Bam.
Adebayo.
All right, Bam.
Lillard and Porzingis.
Okay, Bam. I think Edwards is on the top 3.
I think Ant is the number 1 guy to watch.
Yep.
Like,
yeah,
it's his moment. It's now or never, right? Like,
it really come along.
It really is. It really is kind of.
He's ascended fast, and the team has ascended fast, and he's the reason why. So I think it's his moment.
I love
it. I would too if I was you.
I think Lillard should be up there too. As I was looking at this,
Lillard and Luka. I think it's Edwards, Lillard, and Luka. I think those are the 3 top players to watch. Can Luka, get these guys up into real contention space? Is Lillard going to be that guy come playoff time? And same thing with Edwards. Is Edwards going to be the leader of this Minnesota team? Because, I mean, I forget which podcast it was, but they're going to be a tough matchup for Denver, and I think Denver is their top competitor right now in the West. So.
This is a good list because Edwards, like these are 3 teams that if they just go like one more echelon over, one arbitrary whatever thing you want to say over the top.
Yeah.
They are true title contenders.
The
Bucks, the Timberwolves, and even the Mavericks. The Mavericks can.
Yeah.
They're like the lowest.
You got really Luka. You got to. But they're not. But none of those guys are the definitive favorite in their conference. I still think it's Denver and Boston as the favorites to come out, but those 3 other teams are also legit contenders if they, like you said, if they get the right breaks.
Yeah,
I think too. These 3 teams and these 3 players probably have the most approved / lose.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it goes good or bad, it's going to be because of Anthony Edwards. It's going to be because of Dame. It's going to be because of Luka. Like if the Bucks fizzle at the end here or continue to play poorly or fizzle out in the playoffs, like no one's going to blame Giannis.
Yeah, I think they're going to blame Dame.
They're going to blame Dame and the chemistry and the fit wasn't right and yada yada, right?
And then Dame's going to Miami.
Right. Luka could have 30 points a game in the playoffs, but if they lose in the first round, it's going to be, well, Luka didn't do enough, right? It's going to be, you want to be a superstar, you got to score 40 a game. It's going to be all that. And I think Anthony Edwards is kind of putting himself on that same level of like, if they fizzle early, it's going to be, hey, Anthony Edwards didn't play good enough. And if they ascend,
they might blame Cat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? They should. Yeah, you're right.
But there's going to be a focus on him, right? And if they succeed, it's going to be, hey, Anthony Edwards is the face of the league, and we all told you this was coming, and this guy's fantastic. And so I think it's a good list. I like it.
Sweet. Solid. So we got Edwards, Luka, and Lillard, our 3 most important players to watch in the last
I'll be honest,
stretch.
guys. I didn't think we were going to end up on these big name players, but I feel really good about it. Actually,
I actually think it was a good list. I
kind of thought we'd have some like deep cuts or some mix of guys, but
it's kind of funny. You guys were going deeper cuts than I was. My team was Jalen Johnson, and you guys were like Jaquez. I'm like, okay,
okay. I guess we're naming everybody now.
That's why when I was going through the West, I'm like, all right, if you want to name off Jalen fucking Williams, go for it.
I like it. That makes sense. I mean,
that was good.
These teams have the most to lose, I think, out of all 3 of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
The most to gain.
Most to gain, most to lose. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that makes a nice show for us. That is it for us tonight. Follow us on social media at the Box Out Boys. Slide on those DMs. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on YouTube and Spotify. We very much appreciate that. So until next time, Box Out.